What happens when a knight of the British stage, calm, disciplined, legendary, walks onto a daytime talk show built on spontaneity, laughter, and unapologetic opinions, and finds himself face to face with Joy Behar, one of the sharpest, most fearless voices on American television? What happens when restraint meets provocation? When respect collides with raw honesty? When two titans refuse to blink? Before we go any further, if you love cinematic celebrity moments like this, subscribe to Stage View right now. Hit like, drop a comment, and tell us what you think this moment is about to turn into. Because what unfolds next is not what anyone in that studio expected. The studio lights glow warmer than usual that morning, washing over the curved desk of the View like a soft promise of civility. The audience buzzes, not loud, not yet, just that low electric hum that signals something important is about to happen. Producers move with purpose. Camera operators adjust focus. A voice whispers offstage, 30 seconds. Backstage, Patrick Stewart sits with his hands folded loosely in his lap. Posture impeccable. A tailored suit, understated, commanding. This is a man who has ruled Shakespearean stages, sci-fi universes, and generations of audiences. Yet today, something feels different. Unpredictable. He exhales slowly. On set, Joy Behar laughs at something just said at the table, sharp, familiar, completely at home. This desk, these lights, this rhythm. Joy owns it in a way only decades can earn. Her glasses catch the light as she turns toward the camera, that knowing half-smile settling in. The smile that says, "I'm ready." "Ladies and gentlemen," the warm-up announcer calls. "We're back in 5-4. Patrick rises. A producer gestures toward the entrance. The applause swells as he steps out, and the room shifts. Not just clapping. Reverence. Some of the audience stands. Sir Patrick Stewart inclines his head slightly, acknowledging it, calm, composed. Joy stands to greet him. "Sir Patrick Stewart," she says warmly, "welcome." They embrace briefly, polite, professional. But as they separate, something flickers between them. An unspoken awareness. This won't be just another interview. They sit. The introductions glide by effortlessly. Shakespeare, Star Trek, X-Men, advocacy, decades of influence. Patrick speaks with measured grace. Every word placed carefully. The audience nods along. Joy listens intently, chin resting on her hand. Then, the shift. A question about responsibility. About public figures. About words and consequences. Joy leans forward slightly. "You've always talked about dignity," she says. "About respect in how we speak to each other. But some people feel that when certain traditions are defended, their lived harm gets dismissed." The air tightens. Patrick doesn't answer right away. He looks at her, not defensive, not confrontational. Careful. "I don't believe in dismissing harm," he finally says. "I believe in context, in conversation, in not assuming malice where there is ignorance." A murmur ripples through the audience. Joy's smile fades, just a fraction. "But ignorance still hurts," she replies. And when someone with authority speaks, that hurt carries weight. Patrick straightens. His voice stays calm. But something solid settles beneath it. "And when we stop allowing people to learn," he says, "we replace dialogue with judgment." A few claps break out. Joy raises an eyebrow. "Nuance is a luxury," she says sharply. "Safety is." That lands. The studio goes quiet. Patrick pauses, then nods once. "I come from a world where language matters profoundly," he says. "Where meaning is earned, not improvised. And I worry that in our rush to correct, we erase nuance." More claps, louder this time. Joy doesn't lean back. "For people watching," she says, "this isn't theoretical. It's their lives, their families. When someone in power says, "Let's slow down," it sounds like, "Wait your turn." And some people have been waiting their entire lives. Silence. Patrick's jaw tightens, barely. "With respect," he says, precision in every word. Safety without understanding becomes fear. And fear has never led us anywhere good. The audience reacts, applause mixed with disagreement. Patrick continues, steady but unmistakably firm. "I've spent my life fighting intolerance, on stage, on screen, and off. I will not be told that advocating for dialogue makes me an enemy." The word hangs in the air. Enemy. Joy inhales slowly. "No one called you that," she says, heat now behind her calm. But intention doesn't erase impact. And sometimes, let's talk really means let's delay change. Applause surges. Patrick meets her gaze. "And when we shut down conversation," he counters, "we risk becoming exactly what we oppose." The tension is electric. This no longer feels like a daytime talk show. It feels like a courtroom. A climax. A moment viewers won't forget. The director cuts in. "Okay, we're taking a quick break," Joy says, forcing a smile. Everyone deep breaths. Applause scatters, unsure, divided. As cameras pull back, Joy removes her glasses, rubbing the bridge of her nose. Patrick sits perfectly still. Hands clasped. Eyes forward. Around them, hosts exchange glances. Producers whisper urgently. And the audience buzzes, louder now. Because everyone knows. Something just happened. People lean toward each other, whispering. Phones discreetly slip out of pockets. Something has been set in motion now, and there's no pulling it back. When the show returns, this is no longer just a conversation. The red ON air light flickers off, and the studio exhales, but only on the surface. The tension doesn't leave with the cameras. It hangs thick and uncomfortable like smoke after a spark. Joy Behar leans back in her chair, eyes forward, lips pressed tight. Patrick Stewart doesn't move at all. He stares straight ahead, jaw set, hands folded with near-military precision. The applause sign is dark now, useless. No one knows whether to clap, whisper, or stay perfectly still. A producer's voice cuts through the silence. 2 minutes, she says, low but urgent. We're coming back hot. Hot is an understatement. Joy Behar leans slightly toward Sunny Hostin, murmuring something meant to soften the edge, but Sunny doesn't respond. She flips through her notes, then closes them. Whatever was planned next is already obsolete. Patrick finally shifts. He adjusts his cuff, a small, controlled movement, but those closest to him notice the subtle tremor in his fingers. Not fear, restraint, the kind that comes from holding back decades of conviction. Joy glances at him sideways, not hostile, not friendly either, assessing. "You okay?" she asks quietly, just loud enough for him to hear. Patrick turns, surprised by the question. "I'm quite all right," he says, then softer. "I suspect the same cannot be said for the conversation." Joy exhales through her nose. This is what conversations look like sometimes. The producer returns, crouching slightly between them. "We're live in 10. Let's keep it respectful. Passion's fine. No talking over each other." Joy nods once. Patrick inclines his head. 5, 4. The red light snaps back on. "And we're back," Joy says brightly, her tone doing heavy lifting. "So, before the break, things got passionate." A nervous laugh ripples through the audience. Joy doesn't smile. She turns directly to Patrick. "I want to be clear," she says, "because I don't like dancing around things. Nobody here is questioning your history or your intent. What I'm saying is when people in power frame conversations around patience and dialogue, the people suffering right now don't hear hope. They hear delay." Patrick listens without interrupting. When she finishes, he nods slowly. "May I respond?" he asks. Joy gestures with an open palm. "Please." Patrick leans forward for the first time, not aggressively, but deliberately. His voice lowers. gains weight. I grew up in a home where violence was real, he says, where power was misused daily. I learned early that force, verbal or otherwise, can silence, but it does not persuade. And I believe persuasion is how societies change. The studio is silent. Even the audience stops shifting. Joy's eyes soften just slightly, but she doesn't let go. And I grew up watching people be polite while injustice stayed exactly where it was, she replies. I watched folks tell my parents to wait, to be reasonable, to not rock the boat, and that boat stayed real comfortable for everyone except us. A wave of applause rolls through the seats, louder now. Patrick absorbs it. When it fades, he speaks again, measured but unyielding. Then perhaps, he says, the real challenge is ensuring dialogue is not used as an excuse, but neither is outrage used as a weapon. That word again. Weapon. A murmur spreads. Someone shakes their head. Another claps sharply. Sonny Hostin jumps in, calm but firm. Anger isn't a weapon when it's a response to harm. It's a signal. Patrick turns to her. I agree, he says, but signals are meant to be interpreted, not to replace the message entirely. Joy lifts her chin. And what if people are done explaining? Patrick doesn't hesitate. Then we risk creating a world where only the loudest voices are heard. That lands hard. Joy tries to lighten the mood. Okay, philosophers. But Sonny cuts in, voice sharper now. This isn't philosophy, this is survival. The word echoes. Survival. Patrick's composure finally cracks, not explosively but visibly. His brow furrows. His voice rises just enough to register emotion. And survival, he says, also depends on not turning against one another in pursuit of justice. The audience splits. Applause and dissent collide, chaotic. The control room scrambles, adjusting sound levels. Joy sits back, folding her arms not defensively, but decisively. So what you're saying, she says slowly, is that people fighting for their lives need to be careful how uncomfortable they make everyone else. Patrick stiffens. That is not what I said. But that's how it sounds to them, Joy fires back. And if you don't hear that, that's part of the problem. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The silence is louder than any argument so far. Patrick looks at Joy, really looks at her now. Not as a host, not as an opponent, but as a woman who has carried history on her shoulders and refused to be quiet about it. His voice drops. Then help me understand, he says, because I am listening. Gasps, whispers. Whoa. Joy blinks. The shift catches her off guard. The challenge in his tone has softened into something else, something closer to invitation. She uncrosses her arms. Understanding, she says, starts with believing people when they say they're hurt, even if you don't feel it yourself. Patrick nods slowly. I do believe them. Then trust their anger, Joy replies, not as an attack but as truth. The audience erupts in sustained applause. Patrick takes it in, eyes glistening under the lights. When it dies down, he speaks again, quieter. I can accept anger, he says. What I struggle with is erasure, when people are reduced to villains for asking questions. Joy tilts her head. Questions are fine. Timing matters. Joy finally lets out a breath. Okay, I feel like we're getting somewhere. A few nervous laughs break the tension, fragile but real. The director signals, wrap it up. As the segment nears its end, the energy has shifted but the heat remains. This isn't resolved, it's exposed. Joy turns to the camera. This is why we have these conversations, she says. They're messy, they're uncomfortable, but they're real. Patrick nods. And necessary. The cameras pull back. The applause is loud now but conflicted. Some people stand. Others remain seated, arms crossed, deep in thought. As the red light clicks off once more, the studio doesn't relax. Because everyone knows. This moment will be replayed, debated, and remembered. The studio erupts into overlapping chatter. Producers rush in. Assistants whisper updates. Phones are already glowing in people's hands. Twitter is exploding. Clips are circulating before the chairs have even cooled. Headlines are being drafted in real time. Patrick Stewart rises from his chair. Joy Behar stands too, just for a heartbeat. They face each other. Two icons. Neither victorious. Neither defeated. Joy extends her hand. No hard feelings. Patrick takes it. None at all. But as their hands separate, the look they share says something unspoken. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. The studio doesn't calm once the cameras stop rolling. If anything, it grows louder. Voices overlap. Footsteps quicken. The spell of live television breaks and reality rushes in messy, unfiltered. Patrick steps away from the desk, jacket buttoned, spine straight. The calm authority is still there, but his face gives him away now. Not physical exhaustion, emotional. The kind that comes from realizing you've stepped into something far bigger than a single conversation. Joy remains seated for a moment, staring down at the tabletop like it might offer answers. Joy Behar leans toward her again. "You okay?" she asks, louder this time, not caring who hears. Joy nods slowly. "Yeah, I just hate when people think this stuff is theoretical." Patrick pauses a few steps away. He hears it. He turns back. "It isn't," he says quietly. "Not to me." Their eyes meet again. No cameras. No red lights. No applause signs telling them how to react. Just two people who have survived long careers by learning when to speak and when to listen. A producer clears her throat. "Sir Patrick, we can escort you out through the side exit. It's getting busy out there." Busy is polite. Beyond the studio doors, raised voices drift in. Staff cluster around monitors, replaying the segment on a loop. "It's already trending," someone says. "This is going to be everywhere by noon," another mutters. Patrick nods once. "I'll take the side exit." Then he hesitates, looks back at Joy. "If you're willing," he says, "I'd like to continue this conversation, off camera." The room stills. Joy studies him, searching for condescension, for defensiveness, for anything hollow. She finds none, just seriousness and something else. Vulnerability. "Not today," she says honestly, "but maybe." Patrick accepts it without argument. "Fair enough." As he turns to leave, Sonny Hostin speaks up. "For what it's worth, this mattered." Patrick nods to her. "That's my hope." The side hallway is narrow, dim, far removed from the polished energy of the main set. An assistant presses a phone into Patrick's hand. "Your publicist," she whispers. "You should see this." Notifications flood the screen. Patrick Stewart shuts down Joy Behar on the view. No, Joy Behar schools Patrick Stewart live on air. A clash of titans. Daytime TV erupts. He exhales slowly. This is the danger of moments like this. Not disagreement, reduction. Complexity shaved down into winners and losers. Outside, a small crowd has already formed. Fans, cameras, a few protesters who weren't here this morning but somehow arrived anyway. Someone shouts his name. Another boos. Patrick steps into the car without comment. The door shuts with a solid thud. Back inside, Joy finally stands. She slips her glasses back on familiar armor settling into place. A junior producer approaches nervously. "Socials are going crazy. Some say you were too harsh. Others are calling you a hero." Joy lets out a short laugh. "That sounds about right." Joy Behar shakes her head. "I've been doing this a long time. That one's going to have legs." Joy looks at the empty chair Patrick left behind. "I didn't want to fight him," she says quietly. "I wanted him to hear me." "And did he?" Sonny asks. Joy thinks. "I think he did. I just don't know if everyone else did." Across the city, Patrick sits in the back of the car, buildings blurring past. His phone buzzes again. "We need a statement, apology, clarification." He locks the phone. Say too much, you fuel the fire. Say nothing, silence becomes its own accusation. Later that afternoon, the clip explodes online. Edited versions multiply, softer moments removed, sharper lines isolated. Comment sections turn into battlegrounds. He talked over her. She didn't let him finish. He was respectful. She spoke truth to power. The same moment, fractured into 1,000 meanings. Joy watches one clip from her office, then turns it off. That's not what it felt like, she mutters. Patrick, now home, sits alone in his study. Shakespeare, history, philosophy, words he's trusted his entire life. One word replays in his mind. Survival. He hadn't prepared for that. British media weighs in. American late-night jokes. Memes spread, some thoughtful, some cruel. Two people who never meant to become symbols, now stuck at the center of one. That evening, Joy posts a short message. No hashtags, no spin. Conversations are hard. Silence is harder. The response is immediate. Patrick drafts a statement, deletes it, drafts another, deletes that too. Finally, he writes something simpler. I believe in listening. Today reminded me how much more there is to hear. The internet argues about what it means. But beneath the noise, something quieter happens. Essays, threads, people sharing stories, not everyone, not most. But enough. Morning shows replay the clip. Podcasts rush emergency episodes. Professors assign it before lunch. One audience member tells a reporter, I thought I was coming for a nice interview. I didn't know I was going to feel something. That line spreads fast. Days later, Joy addresses it on air. No guest, no debate. I'm not interested in winning arguments, she says into the camera. I'm interested in people surviving long enough to have them. The applause is unified. Weeks later, a grainy photo circulates. Patrick Stewart. Joy Behar. A small cafe. No cameras, no audience, just coffee cups and conversation. No one knows what was said. And that feels right. Because this was never about who won. It was about friction. About what happens when civility cracks and honesty spills out. Now it's your turn. What do you think really happened in that moment? A clash or a necessary collision? Did anyone change their mind, or did it force us to examine our own? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more explosive, cinematic, behind-the-scenes celebrity moments like this, watch for more videos, subscribe to Stage View, hit like, share this, and stay with us. Because on this day, the real drama never ends. Performing arts.